Eden Zero Chapter 278 is out, and this was another great chapter as we got set up for new antagonists to actually face off against, and we finally got an idea of how we're going to get the Chronophage to make it to Mother in the first place. And we got a pretty good plan set up, and we got these matchups to really hype us up throughout this chapter. This was relatively short, just setting up the plan and the matchups, but I'm honestly incredibly hyped for this, and I just can't wait to get right into this chapter. Before we get into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for updates on future videos. Really does help and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now with that out of the way, let's head on to chapter 278 of Eden Zero. So chapter 278 titled Beecubers, and the cover image is a hermit with a birthday cake. And I believe it is Hermit's birthday when this chapter officially released, so happy birthday, Hermit. Happy birthday to one of the best girls in this series. But I gotta move on to the chapter, as we start off with everybody wondering that Hermit knows how to summon a Chronophage their way. Sister brings up the fact that there was something about Rebecca's ether having property that affects it. More so that it was a Chronophage that was nearby that was basically why they were able to bring it to Lendard. But Hermit goes on to explain, to be more accurate, the Chronophage is attracted to the ether of someone who has traveled through time. As Witch brings up, in other words, every one of us could attract the Chronophage. Well, every one of them except for Witch and Valkyrie, but still, basically the majority of the ship are people who have traveled through time and have their ether affected by it. Laguna asks how this could be possible if they don't know where the Chronophage is, but Hermit says, then we'll want to use this, the most powerful network in the cosmos, B-Cube. And yeah, I was surprised too, just like Sister, as Hermit goes on to explain that they'll just broadcast their ether through B-Cube, as honestly Queen's like, wait, we can do that? Hermit goes on to say that theoretically it should be possible, and we'll want to make our search range as wide as possibly can. So we'll need to get help from B-Cubers with a lot of live viewers. Rebecca chimes in saying that they should probably ask Couchbow and Lobelia, as they'll give them a hand. As we then cut to Lobelia in the middle of a live stream, as she is reacting to what's going on. Rebecca begins to talk to her, as this is basically Lobelia at the start of Eden Zero at this moment, who was just, not a great person to Rebecca, a rival, but also just wanted to see her humiliated. We all know why all this was really the case, and since I didn't interact with Lobelia or Couchbow at all, they have no memory of Universe 3 where they were from. But as Lobelia is being all cocky towards Rebecca, all of a sudden, their memories together end up flowing into her. All their interactions, as Rebecca asks for a favor. And I just like that in this flash of images, Lobelia just goes on to just shed tears of joy saying, sure, whatever you need. After all, we're friends. And I do kind of like this image of Lobelia just having tears of joy. It's very sweet. As then Couchbow chimes in and says, hey, I was on the ship too, even though I didn't remember up until now. So now let's just get this all settled and reach out to a bunch of B-Cubers, as we get a nice page spread of all the B-Cubers that Rebecca and the others have met over the course of the series. Mainly the beginning of the series. As Rebecca thanks all of them. Wise wonders if this is enough to find their Chronophage, and Hermit says they'll have to find out. As then an alarm goes off as they're wondering what's going on. As in the next page, the Edens 1 rams into the Zero, as everyone goes flying. And honestly, I did kind of forget that the Edens 1 did technically have its own personality outside of Void. So even though there's no enough on the ship, it still has a mind of its own, and I also kind of forgot about that as well. The one is pushing the Eden Zero down towards the planet beneath them, as Witch goes to evasive maneuvers to try and escape. They're now being chased by the Edens 1 on another planet's surface, as they can't really stabilize the transmission until they deal with the one first, because they can't do it while they're running away. All of a sudden, something crashes into the ship, as it isn't a weapon, but someone else just rammed right into the ship and broke in. They have an intruder, as Valkyrie notices who this is. It's the legendary sword fighter, Lady Freya. And let me just say, this design, awesome. An android swordswoman that honestly looks really cool and doesn't really resemble anything I've seen from normally Machima's character designs. So this is entirely new. Then again, it could be a Rave Master reference, and I have not read Rave Master yet, so let me know in the comments. But this is an entirely new design to me. Looks very cool. And I knew we were going to get Lady Freya at some point. Machima wasn't just going to say this and then, not have her be introduced in this final section of the story. So really glad we're getting this brought in, because we're actually getting some more conflict outside of Void, because we did need the rest of the crew to deal with others. Valkyrie says that she basically did join forces with Void, as she wasn't sure. Wise asks if she's a big deal, and Valkyrie just says, yeah, they say she has mastered the use of every armament and she's never received so much as a scratch in battle, and that she's always wanted to be just like her. So someone that Valkyrie herself wanted to look up to. And it'd be interesting if she did exist in the other universes, the other timelines, but we just never got the chance to meet her. And I just like how when Valkyrie's explaining this, we just see Lady Freya just walking through the Eden Zero's hallways. But Scissor says, hey, look, it was a bad idea to board our ship in the first place. We have her outnumbered. We'll beat the snot out of her, as then a bunch of mechanical tendrils just begin to wrap up Sister and just keep her bound and in place. As then it then covers Wise, Hermit, Witch, and I believe Valkyrie as well. As someone comes to walk in says, she's not alone. Your ship has been boarded by Cure of the Oration Seis Galactica. Ah, Cure. Boy, has no one missed you. Look, I liked his initial confrontation. I liked the whole Dead End Crow angle that we got, and it was kind of cathartic and nice to see Holy beat his ass, essentially, and then have the Eden Zero completely eviscerate him afterwards. But as a character, he was not too deep. But this does present a very interesting opportunity for the characters involved, because who else was with Holy when they were fighting Cure? Well, Jin, Clean, and Laguna. And Holy ain't here right now, which means we'll actually get to see these three take on Cure. So Cure basically binds and encases every one of the Shining Stars, and Wise, as Clean, Jin, Laguna, and Homura are the only ones that haven't been caught by him yet. Jin basically says the obvious for Homura to go and take on Lady Freya. And I like how Clean just has so much confidence that she fights with a sword. Homura, you're the only one who can beat her, as Homura runs out to go and face off against Lady Freya. A matchup I full-on expected and said a long time ago, and I'm glad I was right. Because now with the Shining Stars out of commission along with Wise and maybe Laguna based on how these panelings went out, it's Clean and Jin facing off against Cure as Homura goes off to fight against Lady Freya inside the Eden Zero. So not only do we have a ticking time clock with Mother's disappearance, we got Void versus Ziggy, and now Homura, Jin, and Clean have to take care of the remaining Oration Seis members in order to basically get their signal out to find where the Chronophage is and lure it to their location. And that ends the chapter. I like this. I like that we're finally getting matchups for characters that were kind of left off in the backside. Primarily, Jin and Clean, because they were just fighting off random NPCs and fighters in space and dragons. And now the Rutherford siblings are finally going to take on a member of the Galactica and most likely beat him. And I really hope that these two get a really good fight, because while I do like that Laguna got a win on Killer, basically stole the win and took out Lightning Law, I do feel like it would be really cool if he came in and it was a 3v1 against Cure, and Cure did some cool stuff in this fight to justify his existence. Either way, just seeing the Rutherfords just take on Cure and be strong and cool, I'm all for it, and I kind of missed her overdrives as well. And Homura facing against Lady Freya is going to be awesome, because this is going to be Homura's basic last fight in the series. And I hope this does last for a good bit and is a much better fight than Act Noella, because looking back, yeah, Act Noella was most definitely fodder, and I will fully admit that I was a bit too positive in that chapter. I was disappointed because I had my own predictions, but now we got things to look forward to. And Freya was built up a lot, so I'm looking forward to this fight, and this will be Homura's defining moment in this final section of the story. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section down below. Hopefully this fight is around 3 chapters, maybe 4, so it's not too long or too short, but primarily focusing on Homura for this fight to be fully fleshed out and a proper back and forth. Same with Jin and Clean. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.